Hi, I'm the Michael Myers fanatic. I have a question for you. Have you ever seen a movie that you liked so much that you thought to yourself, I would really love to see a sequel to this movie? If you can relate to this question, this is the video for you, because I'm going to be counting down the top 5 movie sequels that I really want to see. Number 5, Wishmaster 5, starring Andrew Divoff. As everyone knows, even though the Wishmaster franchise is a cheesy franchise, it is what they call a guilty pleasure, and it is a guilty pleasure of mine. If you follow the Wishmaster franchise, you know that the first 2 films starred Andrew Divoff as the nefarious Djinn. After Wishmaster 2, he was in negotiations to do Wishmaster 3, but the project fell apart due to a disagreement between he and the studio, so he walked away, leaving Wishmasters 3 and 4 to be played by somebody else. If you're gonna ignore those sequels, then you know that the last time we saw Andrew Divoff was in Wishmaster 2, Evil Never Dies. In the final scene, he was being placed back into the Stone of the Secret of Fire by the character Morgana Truscott, played by Holly Fields. What would the Wishmaster do if he were around today? What would his objective be? What kind of deadly wishes and deadly pranks would he play on this modern world? I want to find out in Wishmaster 5, and hopefully we'll find out the answer before Andrew either gets too old or dies. At number 4, Leprechaun 7. We all know the history of the Leprechaun franchise. For the first 6 films, the Leprechaun known as Lubden was played by Warwick Davis. In 2014, the franchise was rebooted under the title Leprechaun Origins. And we know that the final canonical film was released on December 30th, 2003, and it was entitled Leprechaun Back to the Hood. Warwick Davis said in several interviews that he wanted to do a Leprechaun 7, but for an unknown reason, the film never saw the light of day. I myself would love to have seen a Leprechaun 7, and I have pitched this idea many times before, but it never came to pass. We recently learned about a sequel entitled Leprechaun Returns, in which the Leprechaun will be returning from the well in the first movie, and all of the sequels will be ignored. They are now telling us that all of the Leprechauns in each sequel were different Leprechauns. I don't buy that, but that's what they're telling us now. Leprechaun Returns will be released in March of 2019, but you can catch it digitally December 11th, 2018. At number 3, a sequel to Jason Goes to Hell. While this is one of the most hated films in the franchise, I thought it was an interesting idea. The only thing I didn't like is that Jason didn't have his hockey mask, so I would like to know, if Jason were to come back, how would it follow up? Would it have Steven in it, and would it have Jessica Kimball, played by Corey Keegan? And what would Jason do to his new batch of victims? I would like to find out in a sequel to Jason Goes to Hell, The Final Friday. And at number 2, Mortal Kombat 3. And when I say Mortal Kombat 3, I mean Mortal Kombat 3 the movie, as in a sequel to the hated Mortal Kombat Annihilation. Once again, while most fans hated Mortal Kombat Annihilation, I loved it as a child, and I can certainly see why they hated it now that I'm an adult. But my issue is, I feel that most fans take these movies too seriously. After all, we have to remember that the movie Mortal Kombat is about a Chinese guy that can shoot fireballs out of his hand and turn into a dragon and eat people, and a guy that has a snake-like creature emanating from the palm of his hand while shouting the phrase, "Get over here." And we have another character that can seemingly freeze people with the touch of his hands. So if you're going to call one part of it silly, we have to call the entire thing silly. The last I heard about Mortal Kombat 3, or I should say the first I heard, was in 2000 when they discussed doing a sequel to Mortal Kombat Annihilation. I didn't hear anything else until 2006 when Lyndon Ashby said that Johnny Cage was going to come back from the dead. How is that possible? I don't know, but after all, this is Mortal Kombat, so I suppose that it shouldn't be questioned. The film was going to be called Mortal Kombat Devastation. However, it never came to pass, and instead, we ended up with this upcoming Mortal Kombat reboot by James Wan. And at number 1, Halloween 9. The last time we saw Michael Myers in the canonical sense would be when he was at the Haddonfield morgue in 2002 and his eyes opened. Halloween 9 rumors would persist from about 2002 to 2005, when Mustafa Akkad, the executive producer of the Halloween series from parts 1 through 8, was killed in a series of bombings in Amman, Jordan on November 11, 2005. It's highly unlikely that we will ever see Halloween 9, but in the words of Trancas International President Malik Akkad, who is the son of Mustafa Akkad, never say never. But for right now, the only thing that we have as far as Halloween is concerned is this reboot by Blumhouse, which hit theaters on October 19th of 2018, commemorating the 40th anniversary, and there are rumors of a sequel to this Blumhouse reboot. But sadly, as I said, we will probably never get a Halloween 9, although I desperately want one. But I would like to reiterate, in the words of Malik Akkad, never say never. I'm the Michael Myers fanatic. I approve this message. These are the top 5 movie sequels that I really wanted to see. What movies do you think should have sequels? Let me know down in the comments section. Thank you very much.